Welcome to the nominations for the official St. Edmund Prep Computer Hall of Fame. Our next project is to ask you guys to be able to nominate pioneers, important devices, really just the best of the best in the history of computers. Our goal here is to be able to make nominations and ultimately vote for enshrinees to the Computer Hall of Fame at St. Edmund Prep. We're going to look at nominations in one of four categories: computer pioneers, machines and devices, processors, and other important computer milestones. We'll describe a little bit more how this is going to work, but for the meantime, before we can start to nominate people for the Hall of Fame, we are going to have to learn a little bit about some of the history of computers. Where have we come from? How did we get to 2020? And all of the technology and devices that we commonly use and know today, where did all this stuff come from? So I'm going to ask you in Classroom to be able to first take a look at a video. This video comes from the History Channels and their History Channel and their series Modern Marvels. And they do a really nice job of laying out, the first 100 or so years of the history of the computer. Where have we come from? Why did it happen? And then some of the major developments, the important developments over the life of the computer. I will argue that out of everything that you're studying right now, foreign languages and science and history and math, that computer science is by far the newest field that you would be studying, and quite honestly is one of the fastest developing and changing fields. I don't know about you, there haven't been a whole lot of new developments in the world of Spanish, and some of the math that you're learning was developed by Isaac Newton. But computer science, even in our lifetimes and in your parents' lifetimes, have changed and changed very significantly. So you're going to watch the Modern Marvels video that is posted on Classroom. There's also a Google Doc there for you to answer some questions about the Modern Marvels video. I'll tell you that the questions do come in chronological order. They come in time order. So as you're watching the video, you should be able to find some of the important information along the way. And you can put all your answers right into the Google Doc that's posted on this assignment. I'll let you do that first before I really get into how we're going to do this nomination process. But I've also attached basically, I would say, a group that you'll be belonging to. Each student is going to nominate someone in one category. So some of you will be in the pioneers category, some of you in the processors, etc. So I'm going to ask you that while you're watching the video, in addition to trying to find the answers to my questions, I would like you to perhaps pay particular attention to the topic you've been assigned to. So if you are in the Computer Pioneers group, you want to be looking for some of the important people in the history of computers. And if you find one, or as you're watching the video, if you see someone you look at and say, you know what, I think they have made some pretty significant contributions to the world of computers, that perhaps maybe that computers would not be what they are today without this person, maybe take notes of that. Okay, maybe either take some notes about what they did or why they were important, or at least jot them down. And we'll use that in our next section of this assignment, which we will begin on Monday. Okay, so really two things for you to do today. First, to be able to watch the Modern Marvels video, and then be able to answer the questions in the Google Doc. And then while you're watching, pay attention to perhaps the topic and try to maybe put together some thoughts on the particular person you would like to be able to nominate. One thing just to keep in mind when you're watching the video. This video was produced in the early 2000s by the History Channel. Unfortunately, I have not found another video that does the same job of describing the history of computers that this one does. So Some of the technology you might see as the technology of quote today in the video is going to be a little dated, and some of it is probably even before some of you were born. But I think that for the first 30 minutes of this video, it does a nice job of at least recapping the history of computers. When you get towards the end of the video where they're talking about like technology today, I would like you to maybe pay attention to some of the things they're talking about in the future tense, things that are coming. And I believe the last couple of questions on the Google Doc are going to ask you to try to make some connections between the things that they were saying were coming and maybe some of the technology we have today. Spoiler alert, a lot of the things they were talking about almost 20 years ago, we have now. We have it, and it's a very much a part of our life, and we don't even think about it anymore. So I'd like you to maybe make some connections there. Even though the technology and the things they're talking about are kind of dated, I think that the themes and the general things they're talking about are still very relevant. Right? So please disregard the early 2000s technology that they're all carrying around. Okay, so this will be part one of our dive into the history of computers. And then on Monday, we will talk a little bit about where we're going to go with this information from there. Okay, so enjoy the Modern Marvels video, grab some popcorn, and saddle up.